And a pleasant good evening, and we welcome you to our Tuesday night we call our Sports Report. I'm Tom Heck with Robert Campbell. Robert's the athletic director at Burroughs High School. Our engineer-producer tonight is Fritz Freiberg back at the controls. And with Robert, we want to get a rundown on his background. He's a long-time resident of the IWV. He coached men's basketball and girls basketball at the high school. Last year, he retired from coaching. He's also taught PE at both Monroe and over at Burroughs High School. And this year, he is basically the athletic director, and he has a lot of stuff to do under his umbrella. So, Robert, why don't you tell some of the folks out there a little bit about yourself, your wife, your kids, your beagle. I know both of your kids went through the high school programs, sports-wise. In fact, I think you did coach both your son, all right, and your daughter, if memory serves me right, on the basketball court.
Yeah, I coached Nathan 1 year, and then I coached Brooke through her time in basketball. Basically, I came to Ridgecrest in 1963, went through Richmond Elementary School on into Murray and finished at Burroughs in 1977. I went to Point Loma College and played basketball there from 77 to 81, taught a year down there, and then a job opened at Monroe. My brother told me about it, so I started coaching basketball at Monroe Junior High, along with soccer, football, baseball, golf, you name it. I tried it. And then I moved over from Monroe over to Burroughs after teaching 13 years at Monroe. And I've been at Burroughs High School, I think, for about 21 years.
Wow.
Coached basketball for men for 15 years, did the ladies, coached the ladies for 9 years, and last year, with all the changes that were going on at Burroughs High School with new administration, Brian and I both decided together that it might be a good time for me to step down and just concentrate on the athletics at Burroughs High School. And I think it was a wise decision. Laura Larson, my assistant, has been with me for 8 years, and she was doing more and more every year, and so she decided she decided to take the job. We did an interview, and so here we are today. And it's not a beagle, it's a basset hound.
No, I keep forgetting that. So, well, tell us about your basset hound, because I know that you've had, I think, more than one. Is that correct? Or have you just had the one? It seems like you've had this forever.
It's kind of funny you talk about that. Basset hounds have been in our life since my dad got one when I was 7, 8 years old.
Oh boy!
And he was a pharmacist on the base, and some people were moving to Alaska, and they couldn't take their dog, and so that was our first basset hound. That was Angie, and then they came back 2 years later and wanted it back. So we ended up, everyone was crushed, and so we ended up getting one, and that was 3 basset hounds ago, and in fact he got another one when I found him one in San Diego, and Coach Bird brought the dog home on the hottest day in the summer from San Diego, and his car broke down in San Bernardino at a car place. He was hosing down the basset hound. My dad had that one. That was Hooter. And then we had one for 2 weeks, and that dog was sick. It was my first one. Bit my daughter in the arm, and so that one went away. And so then it goes on, and now we have Flash, and from the Dukes of Hazzard, my son named it. And of course, that dog is basically barely keeping my marriage alive. As my wife Janet says, my wife for 32 years, this is the biggest struggle we've ever had. Is this dog. And then my 2 children, Nathan and Brooke. Nathan is married to Riley, and Brooke, and they have one daughter, Quinn, so I am a grandpa.
Wow.
And Brooke will be getting married in November. So things are good.
It seems like Brooke has been waiting to get married for a lot of last November.
Well, you know, she's been going out with Sean for 7 or 8 years.
Yeah,
so
at least. Well,
but Ridgecrest has been good. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. And now you played at Point Loma for Ben Foster, NAI school. I also played at NAI school. I know that you played in a really good district, District 3, which was a GSAC, which is kind of dissolved somewhat now. But what about your high school days? Now, did you have the privilege to play for the legend, Coach Larry Bird?
I did. Coach Bird was my coach he was there. He actually came the year my brother's senior year, my brother Bill, and that was back in 1973-74. And then he was there through my time. So yeah, I played for Coach Bird for 2 years, my junior and senior year, and he was actually involved in the process that helped me get to go to Point Loma College.
Now, talking about Coach Bird, he had some great years here, a couple of CIF championships, and a very compassionate man. And anyone that would stop on a hot day when the car breaks down and go wash the Basset Hound down, is a good guy. So Coach Bird, also later at Saracoso College. Well, Robert, let's talk about today and what's going on over at Burroughs High School with the fall sports.
Well, we're very active. In fact, I just got back from a tennis match. We had a tough day today. I think we lost. It ended up being 14-4 to Oak Hills. Our tennis team right now is 4-3. They're the only tennis team they're the only team in the league this year that will have a triple round, and so they're 4-3. We open league play in volleyball this Thursday night against Hesperia. Our volleyball team is doing an awesome job. They're 9-1 in preseason right now.
Wow.
They won the tournament in Highland High School out of Bakersfield, and they're doing very well. Our cross-country team has done very well. We have some excellent runners. We had a rough day last Wednesday in our first league meet. We have 3 league meets in cross-country, and we took 4th in boys and girls. Kristen Schultzo did take 2nd overall for the boys, and Annie Eubanks was, I think, 12th overall for the girls. So Anthony Barnes and I talked a lot, and he said, we're just going to work on getting better, because he has a record of being in the CIF for the last 16 years, and he doesn't want that to go away, and you have to get in the top 3. So we'll see what happens with our girls and boys program. So it's been good.
Okay, we're gonna when we come back, we definitely want to talk about football things. One of my favorite sports, high school football. I do the play-by-play since I've been here, and have seen some absolutely fun Friday nights over at Burroughs High School and on the road. I think in the years I've been here, I've missed 2 Burroughs High School football games, and we'll talk a little bit about Todd Mather. We'll talk about the new league coming up, our first league game a week from this Friday. All right, when we come back, more from Robert Campbell. This is Ridgecrest Talk. I'm Tom Heck. Robert Campbell, back in a sec. And we are back. Tom Heck, Robert Campbell, and final score just in from Saracoso in women's soccer. It was West Hills College 6 and Saracoso nothing. We hope to have women's coach Chris Dixon here in a couple weeks talking about his program. Next week, we hope to have Mark Lathrop, a long-time CIF official in all 3 sports here, and he'll talk about some of the rule changes and some other things going on in the high schools and junior high schools. Well, Robert, let's talk about football a little bit. Right now, Burroughs 2-3. We've played the non-conference season. We're ready to start the conference season, which we open up a week from Friday against Sultana. Talk about the new league.
Well, the new league is definitely a little bit different from the past. I think probably Silverado and Oak Hills are pretty closely matched if you want to talk about last year to this year. Oak Hills and Serrano are probably the 2 best teams in football that have, in the history of the league, have been pretty good. I think they're going to be both very strong again this year. The Serrano AD, Ray Malachek, says that they're not as good as they've been in the past, but Ray's always doing things like that, and always knocking them down a little, so when he wins, they look better. But overall, I think we're right there where I think our defense right now is playing very well. If we can continue to play good defense, our offense is coming around. If you look at the Paraclete game, that was a game that we could have won, I thought. We were driving So, and you can see what our field goal kicker did the other night with a 52-yarder.
My goodness.
But it's a strong league, Tom, and we have our work cut out for us. You know, we're a team that I don't know how many seniors exactly we have, but I know we graduated a lot of seniors last year. So we're getting better, though, every week, and so I think we're going to be fine. I think the team that people are going to forget about is Apple Valley. I talked to their coach earlier in the year, and he says it's the biggest line he's ever had in the history of Apple Valley.
Wow.
So that's going to be something to deal with, is his offensive and defensive line that they have.
Mm-hmm. And that's Frank Police over there. Their head coach does a real good job with that program. Has been there quite a few years. Robert, we've joined a new league now, and people have asked me why the change after all the years in the DSL. And you and I have talked, and to me it makes some pretty good sense. But we're now in the Mojave River League, and the travel is not much different at all. But I know there's some pros and cons, and I think there's a lot more pros and cons. I think really the only negative thing that I can come up with so far is the loss of the freshman boys basketball program. And boy, I just personally can't figure that out, because those schools over there, you know, have decent size, and I know they would get participation. It would seem so. In that sport. I think you guys did a good job. I know you helped get the volleyball program, the freshman volleyball program, resurrected in that league. Is one of the things that you guys really wanted to see happen when you joined over there. But go ahead and talk about that change.
Well, it's an interesting change. It wasn't something that we just decided where a couple people made the decision. Several years ago, there's a process that happens when we re-league, and it happens every 2 years. And basically what happened was Granite Hills was asked to go into the league first, and they turned it down. And then Rob Martin and I were talking one day, and he asked if we were interested. And I said I would take it back to my administration and my coaches and see what they thought. We have coaches meetings about every month, and we discussed it. And we discussed the pros and cons and put them on the board. And basically the pros outweighed the negatives, but the big thing that I was surprised is all the coaches felt that it was the competition overall in all sports was a little bit better, and it would prepare us more for the playoffs. And that was something that came out, and I felt, you know, we did very well in the DSL the past 2 years. We won the All Sports banner 2 years in a row. And, you know, it's hard for coaches to give up championships and to give up successful seasons, but our coaches wanted our players to get to the next level, and they thought that this would be one way to do it. And so that was interesting. The facilities, you know, some of them are better, some of them aren't, but, you know, things have gotten better in the DSL with Silverado's facility improvement, and Atalano as brand new facilities. So I think that was pretty much an even. We struggled last year with some games with Atalano and them not wanting to participate due to numbers, but I think that would have gone away. So I think basically we just felt that they had more teams to offer us. If you think about it, cross country, they're always on the verge of not being able to have representation in CIF, because you have to have 4 teams. And when we left this year, it's close, because Victor Valley is trying to have a team, and you got to have 4 to be represented in CIF. Okay. So they didn't have some sports over there that we felt that was a little bit better represented in the MRL, and so we actually voted on it, and it actually was a 14-2 vote.
Wow.
Of people that wanted to go to the new league. Some of the negatives that we talked about were, like you said, not having the 3 teams in boys basketball. We didn't think we were going to have 3 in volleyball, but Rob Martin from Apple Valley, the AD, and I both pushed it, and we got that through. And so that was a good thing, because we have a ton of volleyball players at Burroughs High School, and it would have been a crushing blow for us not that. We would have had a lot of kids that didn't get to play volleyball. I mean, the other thing that people don't talk about is golf, and that was the other thing that I was really upset about. Is in the MRL, they play league contests of only 9 holes, and I don't really think a true test of golf is 9 holes. And in the other league, there's not very many leagues that still go 18 holes, and the DSL is one of them. So those two things were some negative things. But overall, I think it's a good move, and it's going to take us a little while, but I think we're going to be fine.
Now, is basketball going to be 2 rounds or 3 rounds?
Everything is 2 rounds except tennis, and why they decided to have tennis 3 rounds, I'm not really sure. I think that'll go away next year. You know, I was the coach of the girls last year when we were in the triple round with 6 teams in the league, and I'm telling you, 15 league games it's a long season. And personally, what makes it tough is if you're playing triple round and you have 2 or 3 teams that are very bad, that just don't play very well, you're literally playing 9 games of non-competition. Right now in tennis, if you look at tennis as an example, we beat Apple Valley 18-0. We've beaten Hesperia 15-3 and 16-2, and we have beaten...
Robert, hold that thought. When we come back, we'll finish that. I know you're an avid golfer. We want to ask you about that, too, and I know you do some lessons. We'll be back. Don't go away. More from Robert coming up after this timeout. And we are back. Tom Heck, Robert Campbell. Next week we hope to have Mark Lathrop, a local CIF longtime official, and he's going to be talking about a lot of the things Robert and I are discussing tonight, but he's going to kind of maybe break it down from the zebras, if you will, the stripe guys' point of view. And he's got some great war stories over the years. I know that Mark has done many games for you, Robert, over there at Burroughs High School. Hey, let's kind of finish your thought about golf. And I didn't realize that, you know, some leagues play 9 holes. I always thought it was 18 holes. To me, that's significant.
Well, it is. It's a true test of golf, and this league and many of the others have decided that they wanted to go to 9 holes. One, because the golf course, you know, they're taking up so many hours with an 18-hole match when you have 4 or 5 teams on the course. But the main reason was for school purposes. You know, kids are having to get out, you know, 10, 11 o'clock to make the trip because you have to tee off at 1 o'clock. And so that was the principals felt that was a problem. We've never had that problem in our league, but it's something that you deal with. And so, you know, that's just something that we have to deal with. It's 9 holes, and we probably have one of the best golfers in the state right now at Burroughs High School, in Devin Bling.
Wow.
Who last year made it to the first round of state playoffs, which is, we've never had that happen, and he missed going on to the state finals by 2 strokes.
Wow. And he was what year?
He's a freshman, so now he's a sophomore, and he's played on the AJGA in the spring, and he actually tried to qualify for the U.S. Open last year and missed getting into the 2nd round by 1 stroke and beat some Division I college athletes down at Valencia. So he is a player to be reckoned with, and he's already had offers from UCLA, partial offers from UCLA, Pepperdine, and so forth. So great kid and a great golfer.
My goodness, I didn't realize we quite had anyone of that caliber. I knew you had a very good freshman last year. Boy, that's another level. That's a very, very big time level. Hey, let's talk a little bit about the budget. Now, I think I ask you that once a year, and it seems to me, and it just seems to me, that things are a little better, maybe financially. I don't know that to be true or not. How important is fundraising? How important is the boosters, and are things on the way back with the pendulum going up?
Well, you know, we made a great turn last year with we instituted the uniform, where we're getting uniforms paid by our district, and we have a program basically where each year 1/3 of the teams get new uniforms, and we rotate it for 3 years, and that was something that started last year, and that's something that's been, it's really been good for us. We haven't had that. That went away about 5 or 6, 7 years ago, and so we got that back, and that's been great. We're in our 2nd year of that this year. Budget-wise, if you want to talk numbers, it's just when you are in an area where you have to transport kids so far, it's something that we have to deal with, and we spend more money on transportation than most high schools do on their whole sports budget.
Wow.
And so that's a big number. Our ASB is awesome. They probably pay $27,000 a year for officials. They come up with another $15,000 in tournament fees, where many schools, they tell the teams you got to pay for your own tournament fees, and they pay for all the awards. And so they do a great job. But all our teams do fundraise because it's very expensive. I know Todd and the football team have a huge fundraiser every year because football is so expensive, and you just can't pay for it all in a school budget. And I know they do the cow chip bingo, and that's actually it's a golf now they do with it. And they've raised over $16,000, and all our teams fundraise though. I know Michelle does an awesome job with fundraising for volleyball and softball, because it's very expensive. I didn't know that it costs $300 to buy a glove. Nobody realizes that Burroughs High School spends $18,000 to rent the pool.
Wow.
So I mean, there's just all kinds of things that before I took this job, I didn't know about, and basically it costs to run our sports program $160,000 a year.
Now, is swimming a pretty major sport in the new league?
Actually, no. The new league doesn't have swimming. In the past, the DSL had swimming, and the Apple Valley came over from the MRL to the DSL to participate in our league for swimming. And so now it'll be Apple Valley and Burroughs will come over to the DSL and participate in it, and that's how it's been. The MRL doesn't have anybody that swims. It's kind of interesting. The DSL and MRL combined for a league, and in that league is Victor Valley, Apple Valley, Granite Hills, Burroughs, and Bishop. So we have 5 teams in the league for swimming.
And Bishop went to that central section now fully, along with some other schools that used to be the southern section. Any chance Burroughs will ever head to that central section?
When I was not the athletic director, we did talk about it at one time, and the biggest thing that came out of the district office is the travel over the mountains and so forth. And I don't know if you've ever really looked at the history of the central section. Their playoffs, it's kind of interesting because you'll get into the playoffs and you can buy yourself into the quarters. I don't know how it all works, but there's just not a lot of teams. They have so many different playoff brackets that they can't fill them all, where it's almost the opposite in the southern section, where they try and find ways to put people in the playoffs because there's not enough spots, and they have your basic bye. You don't get a bye. You have to do a play-in game and so forth. Kind of like tonight, the Kansas City and you have wild card games like Kansas City and
Oakland A's.
And Oakland A's tonight.
So which last were the Royals leading 3-2 in the 4th inning in that one in Kansas City. Robert, in our last 20 seconds or so, kind of enrollment-wise over at Burroughs, things pretty good, more or less, even?
We are the same. We opened this year 1 student different than last year. We're right a little below 1,400. We're the smallest school in the MRL, and we probably would be the smallest school, or us and Barstow are very close when we were in the DSL.
All right, Robert, appreciate you stopping by tonight. Good interview, and hope you'll join us next Tuesday night. We hope to have Mark Lathrop, one of the CIF referees. For Robert, I'm Tom Heck, bidding you a very pleasant, good Tuesday evening.